Welcome to a Steeler Thoughts and Chief Feelings film review. I'm Ajay, and this video will be a review of the Chiefs' 30-24 overtime victory on Monday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Thanks to all of you who follow along watching our videos here on YouTube, whether they're the film reviews or the video podcasts. And thanks to you that listen to the audio version of the podcast. They're available wherever you download podcasts. Steeler Thoughts, Chief Feelings podcast. And also a thank you to those of you who follow along on social media. We're at STCF715 on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. We try to post clips from our film reviews and podcasts during the week. And on game days for both the Chiefs and the Steelers, we try to post on Twitter during the game and immediately afterward try to break down the games. But let's get to this film review. We're going to start here in the first quarter, actually the opening drive of the game. Chiefs have the ball on the Buccaneers 33-yard line, and we've got a 1st and 10 with the score at 0-0. The Chiefs are going to come out here in shotgun, and they are in 12 personnel. You can see the one running back here is Kareem Hunt, and their two tight ends are Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. Their wide receivers here are Mecole Hardman and Xavier Worthy, and they're going to start by motioning Xavier Worthy over out wide. So what the Chiefs are going to try to do, the Bucs actually run a fairly creative coverage here. This looks like cover one, right? But what they actually do is they end up rotating into a cover two. So this safety is going to come over, and this corner is going to drop back, and he's going to take the deep half over here, and the safety is going to take the deep half over there. This corner is going to come over and replace in the flat. Well, the Chiefs actually have a really good play dialed up for this situation. They have a cover two beating play. They're going to send Mecole Hardman right up the center of the field, and they've got Xavier Worthy on a go route on the outside. Travis Kelce ends up coming in and running a hitch route, and Noah Gray stays into block and then leaks out late. So let's see what happens. Here you can see this guy's rotating to the deep half. He's rotating over to cover his half over there. And here comes Worthy. Well, the problem is, and this was mentioned, I think, I don't remember which Manning mentioned it on the Manning cast, but the problem with the rotation to cover two when you have a speed guy like Worthy on the outside is there's no corner out here to jam him at the line and, try to prevent him from getting a clean release, because the person that's covering the flat is sprinting out this way, and the person that would have been over the top of him is having to run back. So that's issue one with this play from the Bucs' perspective, is that Xavier Worthy gets a clean release right off the line. Issue two is Tampa's actually running a Tampa 2 coverage. So the difference between their standard cover two that was kind of popularized in the Tony Dungy era and a typical cover two, usually you got these two safeties taking the deep halves, and there's a pretty big void in the middle of the field. And what the Bucs often do with a rangy middle linebacker is they'll drop the middle linebacker with a seam route so that it ends up being a cover three, essentially. You got the linebacker in the middle, and then the two safeties are responsible for the deep half. So as you watch with Mecole Hardman screaming up the seam right here, he's got the linebacker running with him to cover the center, right? And so especially since he has the linebacker here, these safeties really, their responsibilities are the deep routes out wide. But this guy has his eyes on Hardman's route and focuses over there and leaves his responsibility. So not only do you get Xavier Worthy getting a free release up the sideline, but the guy who's responsible for his deep half is focusing on Hardman running up the seam. And so Worthy pops wide open right here. Mahomes sees it and puts a throw out to the sideline. And unfortunately, Worthy is not able to keep his feet in bounds. This is a play that should have clearly been a touchdown. At the very least, it should have been like a 32-yard gain right down to the 1-yard line. But Worthy didn't have the sideline awareness and actually ended up stepping out of bounds, and this is an incomplete pass. When I saw this on the broadcast view, my first thought was, well, was there anything to do with the ball placement? Did Mahomes end up leading him too far to the sideline? You can see the ball's right here. And my conclusion after seeing the all-22 is no, he didn't. I mean, you look at the safety where he is close to, like, this actually isn't a huge window to be throwing the ball 30 yards down the field. And, if he puts this ball too far inside, then the safety can make a play on it. This is a good place to place the ball, and it's not like he led him so far to the sideline that it wasn't possible to catch this ball and stay in bounds. I mean, this should have been an easy catch for a touchdown. This is just a rookie mistake, not having awareness about the sideline. I think in the moment he kind of lost track of where he was on the field, but this is something that really can't happen. This should be a touchdown. To make matters worse, the Chiefs actually ended up getting sacked and knocked out of field goal range, so they had to punt on this drive. They got 0 points after having a play that really should have clearly resulted in a touchdown. It was a great schemed-up play for cover 2. It was a perfect situation to run it when you have the rotation and the corner who rotated out to safety focused too much on the interior route and just forgetting all about the guy on the outside. This should have been a touchdown. This was an example of an early thing that went wrong. The Chiefs had a couple early drives that their first 2 drives, they moved the ball great and they got a total of 3 points out of them. And those initial mishaps helped this to be a game toward the middle of the game when the Chiefs, had they been firing on all cylinders early on, really might have been able to put this game away fairly early. Here you can see from Mahomes' perspective, you see Hardman here, he's going to challenge down the middle, and you see the backer running with him. So that safety on the left side should really be worried about the boundary, but he's not, and so Mahomes gets a throw out here, and you see it. Kareem Hunt's like, we got this. This is a touchdown. But Worthy takes this, he's just got to turn and keep his momentum up the field rather than toward the sideline. Not able to stay in bounds, and he ends up having an incomplete pass there. Now we've got 6:44 to go in the first quarter. The Chiefs and Bucs have both had the ball once and punted, so we got a 0-0 game. And the Chiefs are starting at their own 45-yard line with a 1st and 10. The Chiefs come out here in 0-2 personnel. There are no running backs on the field, and they've got 2 tight ends, Noah Gray and Travis Kelce, setting tight here. They've got 3 wide receivers, Justin Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, and Xavier Worthy. Those of you who watched the Chiefs-Raiders film review will remember we talked about the power shovel concept that the Chiefs use a lot. And they had a particular iteration of the power shovel that they used against the Raiders, which involved a zone read to Mecole Hardman with the power shovel coming in behind. We'll do a quick recap of the power shovel concept for those of you that are not familiar. Basically, the way that the Chiefs like to run it is they'll have the guard, in this case Trey Smith, pull, and they have Travis Kelce follow in behind. They'll have some kind of action going to the other side that involves reading the defensive end that'll be left unblocked. In that case, it was an overhang defender. It was a corner. But here we've got the defensive end. And so what they did at that time, the action going to that side was a zone read handoff it was Mecole Hardman there. Here, the Xavier Worthy's in that position. But sometimes the Chiefs will even just run like a pass option out there. And based on what's going on over here with the end, will make them decide which way to go. In this case, with the read option, if the end comes and crashes in on the pulling guard, you hand this off to Worthy, and you've got Hopkins and Gray coming up and blocking. If the end crashes down, then you've got Smith pulling and Kelce behind. You pitch this to Kelce and just let him go. So they use the exact same power shovel action that they had against the Raiders, but they're not running the power shovel. This is a fake. So instead of Hopkins coming down the field to block like we talked about for a potential zone read action to Worthy, Hopkins is coming across the middle of the field on a passing route, and Gray is acting like he's coming out, and he also, sorry, I drew that one wrong. Hopkins comes across the field. Gray actually goes a little deeper across the field. And they're never intending to hand this to Worthy, nor are they ever intending to shovel it. So see, they come here. Smith actually comes out and blocks this end that was supposed to be unblocked guy, and Kelce's just coming in and being ready to help block too. Mahomes right here fakes the pitch, and what he's looking for are the pass concepts that are coming across the field. So Mahomes actually comes out. Here he's got Hopkins coming across. He's got Gray coming across, and he ends up hitting Hopkins here and getting about an 8-yard gain or so. It's a very interesting wrinkle. They made it look like their patented power shovel, especially they made it look like the exact iteration of the power shovel that they used against the Raiders last week, but they run a completely different action off of it. So again, to see it again, Worthy's going to do a zone read action. Trey Smith is going to pull. Kelce's going to follow, but they're actually just going to block. Here, Noah Gray kind of sits in and then ultimately runs like a deep crosser. And then we'll see DeAndre Hopkins coming across the field here. But look at Mahomes. He fakes the pitch there, and there he has eyes on Hopkins and gets him the ball for a first down. Really cool play, and you wonder how many more wrinkles the Chiefs have off of their patented power shovel concept. Now we've got the next play of the game. It's 2nd and 2 at the Tampa Bay 47. The Chiefs here are lined up in, this is 11 personnel. They've got one running back, and their lone tight end is Travis Kelce. They've got Justin Watson and Xavier Worthy out here, and DeAndre Hopkins over on this side. And the Chiefs, playing out of shotgun, are actually running an RPO action. So they get Kelce coming in to try to identify coverage. He moves in and out. And they run the same pulling action that they ran on the last fake power shovel. Trey Smith is going to pull. Kelce's pulling behind. And they set up a run action for Kareem Hunt. And this is something that Mahomes has the opportunity here to make a decision. He's got two pass actions, too, that he can go to. He's got DeAndre Hopkins is running a front side slant. On the backside, they've got a swing pass to Xavier Worthy with Justin Watson being prepared to block for him. And so Mahomes has got to decide based on his numbers whether he wants to go with this handoff or whether he wants to trust a pass action. And if he is going to do a pass action, he's got to do it quickly because his line is run blocking here. So you've got guys pulling and going. They're going to be pushing forward. And in order for there not to be an ineligible man downfield, Mahomes has to get this pass off before any lineman gets to a place where he has any part of his body that is more than 1 yard down. Sorry, that's not correct. He has to get to throw it before any lineman has all of his body more than 1 yard downfield. If any part of a lineman's body remains 1 yard or closer, it's fine. But you cannot have all of your body more than 1 yard downfield. So since the linemen are run blocking, he's got to be quick. And so Mahomes, based on the numbers in the box, so see he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-man box. So it's not a heavy box, but it's not a light box either. And all the linebackers take a step up here with the run action. He decides to hold this and throw the slant to Hopkins. Hopkins gets in nicely behind the underneath defender and gets a big gain of 17 yards. I think this is important, A, because the Chiefs' success in the run game is allowing them to run plays like this, and they have a receiver in DeAndre Hopkins that they trust to be able to win quickly on these kinds of plays and give them a shot to run these. It's nice that they're running these kind of designed RPOs with Hopkins as the primary option on the front side so early into his time in Kansas City. This is another example of how much they trust him, and that will be a theme throughout this film review, that DeAndre Hopkins is new in Kansas City and is being trusted as like a primary guy on a lot of these important plays. Here, the RPO action, where they get it out to him quick, and he gets a big gain. Now we can see it from the end zone view from Mahomes' perspective. We're going to let Kelce go in motion and then come back. So here's the run action. Got to pull. Mahomes looks. You've got everybody crashing on the run action. And the really important guy when you're reading front side is this guy, right? If he stays back, he has a chance of getting into this throwing window that's got to be there for Hopkins. But the fact that he even took a little step in and then is having to overcorrect by stepping out leaves a window right here for Mahomes to throw. So that's an important guy to read on this play. And Mahomes gets to throw inside of him. Boom. Hopkins can be trusted to catch that slant with strong hands. First down, Chiefs. And one other thing to note on this play is, again, with how quickly he has to get the pass off, look at where linemen are when the ball leaves his hand. Here's Wanya Morris. He's the farthest downfield. He's still well within a yard of the line of scrimmage. So if you look, this is where the original line of scrimmage was. And so here's a yard. Wanya Morris still has body parts within a yard of the line of scrimmage. So Mahomes gets this pass off quickly, so nobody's illegally downfield. First down. Moving the ball nicely, and a new number one wide receiver clearly emerging here in Kansas City. Watch it one more time from this view. Sees that window open, boom, gets it right in there quickly to Hopkins. First down, Chiefs. So now we jump ahead to 6:17 to go in the second quarter, and the Chiefs are down 7-3. The Bucs have just gone down and scored a touchdown to take the lead, and the Chiefs are faced with a 3rd and 8. What the Chiefs end up doing here, they are lined up in 12 personnel. Ajay Perine is their running back, and their 2 tight ends are Travis Kelce and Noah Gray is on the other side of Wanya Morris. You can't see him very well in this image. So Kelce is going to come rotate over here. And the Bucs are going to play essentially a cover 3. They're going to drop back into a zone here, and the Chiefs are going to counter that cover 3 with the following route combination. So they're going to get Worthy on a clear out. They're going to have Hopkins run a crosser. Kelce is going to come out to the flat. And on this side, Noah Gray is also going to run a crosser. And Ajay Perine is going to go out into the flat. So with the Bucs dropping into their cover 3, the Chiefs have some openings in the zone here in the middle. Here's DeAndre Hopkins comes in, and Noah Gray. And Hopkins, if you notice, comes and sits in the opening in the zone. Whereas Noah Gray actually kind of runs into Hopkins' area. So you would have kind of liked Noah Gray to stop his motion about here, instead of running into Hopkins' zone. Hopkins kind of sits here, and Mahomes is having to navigate a collapsing pocket. He steps up in the pocket, and you wonder if, as he's looking down the middle, if Gray and Hopkins kind of converging on the same area prevents him from pulling the trigger on any throw. And as he steps up in the pocket, Hopkins, which really high IQ play here, he feels Gray coming into his area, and instead of wanting, being there and having 2 guys in this area, Hopkins decides to turn it upfield. Mahomes sees this, and as he's stepping up right into pressure, about to get hit, he lobs one up to Hopkins, who tracks this ball amazingly and brings it down. I mean, this is an incredible job of tracking this ball and catching it for a huge gain for a first down. I love this decision by Mahomes to throw this ball because it's 3rd and 8. He's throwing a ball down toward the 5-yard line. So even if this pass were intercepted, I mean, it's kind of like a punt. You're backing up the team. They're on the 38-yard line, so it's not like it's a guarantee for a field goal. Although you do love Butker's range. I mean, from the 38-yard line, you're looking at about a 55, 56-yard field goal. So Butker can probably make that. But this is kind of a high reward and a relatively low risk play, tossing it down the field like this. And the faith in DeAndre Hopkins that this guy's a ball winner. He goes up and makes contested catches. He gave him a chance to make a play, and Hopkins did it. This is another example of how a receiver that tracks a ball really well can make a quarterback look extremely accurate. Mahomes is hit while he's thrown, and he throws this up there. I mean, look at what it looks like when he throws this, right? Here's Hopkins, and it looks like he's got a lot of space in front of him, but Antoine Winfield has done a good job of breaking off. So Winfield had been keeping eyes on Xavier Worthy, who's running the clear-out route, but as Hopkins turns it up, Winfield had great awareness to see this happening, and he turned back to get involved. He gets over here, and look at Hopkins just running this ball down. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a great throw by Mahomes in the circumstances, right? But in order to make a deep pass look great, you have to have a guy who's great at going and getting the ball, and that's what Hopkins did on this play. I really feel like sometimes we judge quarterbacks a little too much for their deep ball accuracy, whereas deep ball accuracy a lot of times is based on the wide receiver. You can put it up out there in a place where he theoretically could go get it, but does he know how to track the ball, and are you on the same page, and can he go and get it? And with Hopkins, the answer was yes. We can see this here from the end zone view. Now, the interesting thing will be to watch here. As the pocket collapses, you see Mahomes is trying to navigate the traffic. I think more than anything, he's just not in a position where he can make a throw. So you know how earlier I thought maybe it was because Gray is... See, you can see Gray and Hopkins coming into the same area, which is not good. And Hopkins really had the high IQ play to know to get upfield, get away from Gray, and find an open area. But I don't think this is Mahomes just being like, oh, I shouldn't make this throw because these two guys are in the same area. I think it's just that he doesn't feel like he's got the room to make a throw. He's kind of navigating through the pocket and then finally creates enough space for him as he's getting hit right here to just get a ball off. And my goodness, Hopkins, just the strength, the tracking, and then just the strength to make that in the concentration. I mean, this is such a high-level wide receiver. What a play. All right, we're later in the same drive. A couple plays later, the Chiefs now have a 3rd and goal. So still down 7-3. We've got about 4 or 5 to go in the second quarter. The Chiefs come out here lined up in 12 personnel. They've got Kareem Hunt as their running back, and Noah Gray and Travis Kelce are their tight ends. Over here is Justin Ross, a practice squad will call up wide receiver who's been on the team now for a couple years as an undrafted free agent from Clemson. And over here is DeAndre Hopkins. Now, the Chiefs run a nice little play here in the red zone. They get Kareem Hunt out to the flat, and he sits at the goal line. Travis Kelce comes up to sit at the goal line, and Noah Gray goes out and over to sit at the goal line. So we've got 3 on this side sitting at the goal line, and they run DeAndre Hopkins toward the back line. And the Bucs end up rushing 4 and dropping 7. And what I like so much about this play is that this is what teams do. You know, they drop everybody in the red zone against Mahomes when they think he's going to pass. The Bengals really started this, dropping 8 a lot in the red zone and causing problems for Mahomes. And they have an answer now for it, because when they got Gray and Kelce here at the goal line, look at the attention that Kelce ended up drawing. Everybody's coming and collapsing on him, and they only sent one guy toward the back, which is Hopkins. They got him one-on-one, and Mahomes got it over the top and hit him in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. They used Kelce's gravity, and Noah Gray attracted some attention too here up at the goal line. And when you've got a guy who can just go up and get it, Mahomes had to put some air under this ball to get it up over the defenders. But Hopkins got up there, got his feet down, and got a touchdown. It's nice to see that the Chiefs have an answer to teams dropping so much into coverage now that they have multiple viable threats here. So here's Kelce coming across the middle. Look at Winfield charging back on it, and suddenly there's no deep safety over the top. Touchdown Hopkins. Nice that he's the one that set up this red zone trip with that awesome third down catch, and he gets rewarded with the touchdown to seal it, end up the drive. Chiefs now up 10-7. The Chiefs now have 1st and 10 at their own 48-yard line. We've moved down to 1:10 to go in the second quarter. The Chiefs are in a 2-minute drill, and they're up 10-7 at this point. All right, and so in their first down play, they're in 12 personnel. They've got Ajay Perine as the one running back, and their 2 tight ends, Travis Kelce and Noah Gray. And how they're going to try to attack the Bucs on this play is they are going to run Worthy on a go down the field. Watson's going to run like a really tight post, and Kelce's going to run a deep over. They're going to have Perine and then Gray come out to the flats. And the Bucs are going to run what looks like a cover 4. So that means that all 4, they call this quarters coverage. Each guy is responsible for a quarter of the field deep. And so the way this ends up shaking out, here's Kelce coming over. But what ends up happening is, so here are your 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you remember, Watson's running kind of a tight post. Kelce is going to come over, and Worthy's getting down the field. Well, this guy who's responsible for this quarter over here is very focused on Kelce. This is a great example of the gravity that Kelce has. And he allows Watson to run right by him. And Watson, he's one of those people that has like pretty good top end speed. He's not going to blow by anybody in short areas, but when he's allowed to just go, he can get down the field. And so he's got a corner trying to run with him who he outpaces, and the safety that would have been helping out is focused in on Kelce. Mahomes notices Watson beating his coverage, and he sends it down the field. Now, the thing that Mahomes does, so Watson, unfortunately, if one can have a complaint about him, he's a pretty reliable receiver. He kind of does the dirty work. He does what you expect him to do. He also is definitely someone who runs the route that's on paper. And so he continues to run here, even though Mahomes notices that, look, there's a safety in the middle of the field. There's nobody down here. So Mahomes puts this ball straight on a line, expecting Watson, since, there's help inside, he's got his guy beat. He expects Watson to straighten this route out. Watson continues to run it toward the inside until about now, when he realizes the ball's straightened out, and by the time he adjusts his route, he's lost too many steps, and he wasted steps coming toward the inside, and so he wasn't able to come back out and get to that ball in time. This is another example of what I say as far as deep ball receiving is a receiver stat as much as a quarterback stat. This is not a poorly placed ball. It actually is a smart place to put this ball, because if you continue to put the ball toward the inside, there's a higher chance that the safety could try to help out. Now, I think Watson's got the safety beat in any case, but you're not going to throw this ball anywhere except the place that you feel like is the farthest away from it being in harm's way. And if Watson reads this right here, Watson, right now, you're beating the coverage. What Mahomes expects is you start going straight now. You have a safety inside. You've got nobody over the top. But Watson runs the route that's written on paper, as my assumption, and so he keeps it toward the inside until he can straighten it out right there. If he does that even a couple steps earlier, he might be catching this in the end zone for a touchdown. That was an unfortunate miss there by the Chiefs. It became even more unfortunate because the next play was a lost fumble by Travis Kelce. Here you can see Mahomes seeing, and you can see, you can see it even in the way that Watson's running right here, how he goes from, at this point, he's kind of angled more like this. It goes from as he's coming inside to now he's bending it straight right there, and he just doesn't get it straight enough. If at the beginning, and this is also a tracking thing, like you wonder if Watson just doesn't quite see the ball as well as someone like DeAndre Hopkins and can't adjust to it like Hopkins can. But if he's able to adjust this route a little bit earlier, that's a touchdown. That would have been 17-7. So the Chiefs at this point have lost 2 touchdowns on potential deep shots. One because of Worthy's sideline awareness, and one because Mahomes and Watson weren't on the same page as far as where that ball should go. And in this case, I would argue that Mahomes was right. Straighten that out when you have nobody over the top. But they weren't able to get it completed. Instead of 17-7, this game ended up being 10-7 at halftime. All right, now we've got 11:36 to go in the third quarter, and the Bucs have a 1st and goal at the Chiefs' 11-yard line. The Chiefs are up 10-7. This is the first drive of the third quarter. The Bucs taking the ball going in after halftime. They set up a nice little play here. So the Chiefs are playing man-to-man coverage, and they're blitzing Leo Chenal. So these 5 are rushing, and as usual for this game, the Bucs really picked up the Chiefs' blitzes very well. Everybody else is manned up except Nick Bolton, who's playing like a middle-of-the-field robber. So we've got man-to-man, and Tranquil is taking the back. Initially, from this alignment, it's Justin Reed has this guy, and Brian Cook has the tight end, Kate Otton, but Otton's actually going to come in motion, and they're going to swap. And then McDuffie's manned up over here. The Bucs run a nice little play here. So they motion Otton over, and they're actually going to snap it with him on the run. And so what they've got is he's going to come here. Otton is actually going to come on a wheel route, but the receiver up here is going to come up and run a little pick route. And he does it really well, and the running back is going to trail. And so what the motion does in the man-to-man is it switches the responsibility of Otton from Brian Cook to Justin Reed. So as the snap's happening, Reed is now changing his responsibility. And then if you notice, Reed from the safety position is having to come down. And I think one of the reasons why he's coming down so aggressively is look at this from his perspective as his key, right? Right here, as the snap, he knows he's taken this tight end, and he's got a running back trailing. To me, this looks like it's going to be a swing pass to the running back, and this guy's going to block. And I think that's one of the reasons why Reed comes down so hard. He looks like he's getting ready to engage a blocker who's out in front of the running back who's going to catch a pass. And then right as he comes down, they get him in the perfect spot. He gets the rub route right here by the wide receiver. This is definitely not offensive pass interference. He keeps his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage and is trying to brush through. I think that's a good no call there. And so he's got that, and the timing is great that Otton just blows by him right there. And Reed can't catch up. Mayfield just tosses it over the top for a touchdown. This is great play design. I really think that Reed comes down so hard because he thinks that he's blocking, and he's getting ready to engage a blocker. He's thinking about firing downhill on this guy. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. This is just from observation, so I could be completely wrong here. But it really looks to me like Justin Reed is keying hard, coming down, and then I think around here is when he realizes, like, I might have to turn around and cover this guy, and it's a perfect time for the pick. They get him right in there for the pick, and then he's having a turn and chase, and he's in an impossible position by that point. I think it's just an awesome play design by the Bucs. Now, if we see it here from Baker, we're not really going to see much of the play. So you can see here Cook is telling Reed, like, hey, he's going to be yours. He's coming across. He's going to be yours. And this is when Reed starts coming down. Again, from here, you can see how well they pick up the blitz. I mean, there's nothing. Sending that fifth guy did absolutely nothing. Leo Chenal actually even just bailed out here because he wasn't doing anything as far as pressure. I mean, the Bucs line was fantastic during this game. And then Mayfield just pops it right over the top for the easy touchdown. That gave the Bucs the lead 14-10. We're now into the fourth quarter. There's 14-14 to go in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs are down 17-10. And they've got the ball 3rd and goal on the Bucs 7-yard line. The Chiefs come out here and they're in 13 personnel. Sorry, they're in 11 personnel. They've got one running back and they've got one tight end. The 3 wide receivers here. Down here is Xavier Worthy. This is Justin Ross and this is DeAndre Hopkins. They end up motioning Hopkins over to the right, and they run the following route combination. They try to get Kelce to sit here in the middle of the field. Hopkins runs a post behind him. Over here, they've got Worthy coming and running an out, and Ross runs a post behind him. So, see, as this develops, the Bucs are kind of all over this in coverage. So, Hopkins doubled in the post. Ross has Winfield right there waiting for him. Worthy comes on his out route, and he also has a couple guys around him. Perine, who had come out to the flat, is covered, and the linebacker, I believe that's Levante David, but I can't see on the screen, does a good job of just nailing Kelce because he's within 5 yards, so this is an illegal contact as long as he doesn't hold him. There's no penalty. So Mahomes hits the back of his drop. He's got nobody open, and he's got his pocket collapsing. He does a good job escaping here through the B gap. And he really looks like he comes out of this with the idea to run. He's got, just one guy over here. If Perine lays a block on him, he can probably make it to the corner. However, Perine slips through. Instead of getting the block, he kind of slips through, and so as Mahomes comes, he has to stop quickly, and he actually tweaks his ankle right there on that step right there. But he manages to stop his momentum and flip the ball right over to Perine for the easy touchdown. But it definitely, the way he's coming through, he's coming hard. It looks like he's trying to run and has to quickly stop his momentum and pop that ball up to Perine. Great play from Mahomes, but it was initially a pretty scary moment as he went down and looked to be injured pretty hard. We can see it from Mahomes' perspective here. He comes back, he hits the back of his drop, and already the pocket's collapsing. At this point, he's got nobody open, so he escapes. And here he is looking like he's just going to go run. And then at the last minute, he kind of stops. And you can see he kind of tweaks his ankle right there on that last. I think he, up until here, was really thinking he was going to run. He sees Perine slip and allow the defender through. And that's where that step right there, he stops to try to arrest his momentum and flip the ball. That's where he tweaked his ankle. Looks like it hurt pretty bad. But he needed to be helped off the field for about half of it across the field, and then was able to walk under his own power and ended up finishing the game and looking pretty good, as we'll see later. Now we move on to a play that I think largely will go forgotten, but was really a crucial play in the outcome of this game. So the Chiefs scored on the touchdown we just showed you to Ajay Perine. And the Bucs had the ball back. Now, if you recall, the Bucs scored a touchdown on their opening drive of the third quarter. They then came down, the Chiefs punted, and the Bucs kicked a field goal. So they've scored on their last two drives. The Chiefs were able to come back and tie the game, and the Bucs have it now 3rd and 7 at their own about 33, 34-yard line. So this is an offense that has been moving the ball now for this half. And if you recall what happened in the game, would move the ball again later in the game to come down and score a touchdown. But at this juncture, the game is tied, and the Chiefs have a chance to get off the field here. So 3rd and 7, what do the Bucs do? They set up an out route over here, and then they run 2 in-cutting routes here. Really, the second one designed to be a pick for Cade Otton to try to get him open toward the outside. The Chiefs run cover 2 man, so they've got 2 deep safeties, and then everybody is manned up. Nick Bolton's got the running back. We've got man-to-man here, and we've got 3 defenders down here that'll try to navigate the bunch, which they do pretty well. They've got this stand-up guy is Joshua Uche. He's rushing from the edge in a stand-up position given the 3rd down, passing down situation. So Uche and Chris Jones, just looking at the line initially, Uche and Chris Jones actually run a little bit of a stunt here and manage to get some interior pressure that forces Baker to bail. Now, what they're trying to set up with their routes ultimately doesn't manifest. So see here, they've got the in-cut, they've got the other in-cut, and they're trying to get a rub to get Otton open toward the outside, similarly to what they did on the touchdown we showed you. But the Chiefs do a good job of kind of working through all of this. The defender for Otton stays up top and then ends up coming out over the top. That's Chris Roland Wallace. I think this is McDuffie here running underneath. But they end up like covering up everybody, and really nobody's open here as Baker escapes. Uche and Jones get pressure to the inside. Baker bails the outside. And cover 2 man is a great coverage to run against for the quarterback, right? Because everybody's in man. Everybody's running with somebody. Nobody has eyes on the quarterback, and since you have 2 deep safeties, you don't have enough people to have a robber in the middle of the field. You know, if you cover 1 man, that extra guy comes up in the middle and can be there to neutralize any run from the quarterback. But since you've got 2 deep, you don't have anybody available there. So Baker ends up coming out, bailing to the left, and the guy who makes this happen is Brian Cook right here. So if you notice, Brian Cook, right here, as Baker starts to run, watch Brian Cook. Right there, he puts his foot in the ground and he starts driving forward. He's coming hard up to the line of scrimmage. And notice what it does to Baker. Look at Baker's trajectory right here as he's running. And look as he sees Brian Cook, how he flattens it out toward starting to run more parallel to the line of scrimmage. And Cook and Roland Wallace are able to converge on him and stop him 2 yards short of the 1st down, bring up 4th and 2. If Cook doesn't react so quickly and comes so hard downhill from this position right here, Baker's going to run for this 1st down. I mean, he's got an angle. Roland Wallace isn't going to be able to come off and stop him if you see the initial trajectory that he's running at. But since Cook causes him to bow this outside, he's not able to get upfield far enough. Roland Wallace and Cook are able to converge, and they stop him, and the Bucs end up punting. That's a really critical play in the game where the Chiefs, at this point in the second half, really struggled in general to stop the Bucs. The Bucs had a lot of meaningful drives down the field that resulted in points. And this very clearly could have been one of those, if not for Brian Cook coming up and making that stop. So here we can see the rush. Chris Jones is going to come in, and Uche is going to come and then try to peel in. They both end up collapsing the pocket together and causing Baker to bail. But then you can see Brian Cook. Look how far back. He comes charging up, and he causes Baker to come out and really forces that punt. That's a big play from Brian Cook, and it resulted in the Chiefs getting the ball back with a tie game 17-17 in the 4th quarter. We're now at 4:17 to go in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs have the ball, still a 17-17 tie. And the Chiefs are in a 3rd and goal situation, looking like around the 6-yard line. The Chiefs come out in 12 personnel. They've got the 1 running back, Ajay Perine, and their 2 tight ends are here, Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. Their wide receivers are Xavier Worthy over here, and isolated on this side is DeAndre Hopkins. So what the Chiefs decide to do on their 3rd down play, out of the bunch, they get Travis Kelce to run like a corner pattern. Noah Gray is going to come sit at the goal line. Worthy is going to go out to the flat. They have Perine come up through the B gap and sit at the goal line, and they've got Hopkins on the backside running a slant. This is just one of those, like, now I trust my guy plays from Mahomes. Mahomes takes a snap, and on the motion in from Perine, he gets this linebacker to come in. So this window is enough for Mahomes to just trust his guy. Watch him take the snap, doesn't even hesitate, takes a step back and fires in this window. Even with the linebacker there, he just hits that window, fires a missile. He trusts Hopkins going to go up and get it. Hopkins makes the catch for the touchdown. I mean, this play to me is just really indicative of how much trust Mahomes has in Hopkins. He didn't think about doing anything other than just getting that throw in. He felt like this window was sufficient. He hit the linebacker, wasn't able to get that throw. He felt like he had enough there, and he trusted Hopkins to make the play. Scored a touchdown. I think this bodes so well. Here you can see the linebacker coming in with Perine. I think that's the motion that created enough of a window for Mahomes that he was comfortable. He knew right now, like, I'm just going to take a step back and fire this in there, and that's what he did. You just feel like this connection, Mahomes to Hopkins, is going to be electric in the red zone going forward. All right, we're now in overtime, tied 24-24. So after the Chiefs scored, the Bucs actually punted, and the Chiefs tried to run out the clock, but did not get enough time off the clock before punting it back to the Bucs, who came down and scored a touchdown with 27 seconds left. The Chiefs then tried to drive down for a field goal, but were unsuccessful, so we went to overtime. The Chiefs won the toss and got the ball first. So here they are in overtime, and they've got a 2nd down and about 7. They're in Bucs territory. The Chiefs come out in 12 personnel, so they've got 1 running back here, that's Kareem Hunt, and their tight ends are, this is Peyton Hendershot from the practice squad, and this is Travis Kelce. Then they got 2 wide receivers, Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins. And this is another play that's just indicative of how much Mahomes trusts Hopkins. Because if you watch this play here, this play is a run. They're run blocking up front. Hendershot's coming in. Mahomes is supposed to hand this ball off to Kareem Hunt. There is a potential. Well, actually, now that I watch it more, it's really an RPO. Because as you see, Kelce's coming out ready to block for Worthy. So this is actually the same RPO action that we saw before. We did a play earlier where Hopkins had a slant and Gray was coming out, or maybe it was even Justin Watson as a blocker for Worthy. In this case, they're just doing the opposite thing on this side, except that Hopkins has an out route. So I see. When I initially saw this play, I thought that it was just a run all the way, and Mahomes and Hopkins were just on the same page and audibled out to an out route. But now that I see this is an RPO. There are 2 pass actions actually created on this play. And so Mahomes is doing the same thing. He's reading and deciding to go with the pass. In this case, it is a little bit, depending on how you want to define the box, I guess it's a 7-man box. But I think the combination of it not being like a heavy box and Hopkins having such far off coverage leads Mahomes to pull this down and just trust Hopkins. He tosses it out there. Hopkins does a great job feeling where the defender's trying to come, and he spins in, breaks the tackle, and gets extra yardage. He ends up with about a 15-yard gain. The second time during this game, and this time in overtime, that Mahomes is trusted to pull the ball back and throw to Hopkins on an RPO and a quick pass, and Hopkins has rewarded him with, this was 15 yards, and earlier in the game it was 17 yards. You can see it from Mahomes' perspective. Here, set up, and he's going that throw all the way. I don't think he actually, looking at that, I don't think he did much reading of the box, the numbers, anything. When he saw that off coverage, he was throwing this to Hopkins. Like, his mind is made up. He's throwing that to Hopkins on the out route. He really trusts him so much. It's so exciting for Chiefs fans to see where this goes. Right, so this is the final play of this week's film review, and it comes later in overtime. The Chiefs have a 2nd and 8 at the Tampa, about 26-yard line, and they really got in their bag as far as play design, so I thought I'd want to highlight this play. The Chiefs here are in 12 personnel, but they have both tight ends kind of in sidecar position in the pistol. So Mahomes is here in the pistol, like he's in a short shotgun with a running back behind, and they've got both tight ends here in like sidecar positions next to him. They have Justin Watson and Xavier Worthy are the wide receivers. Worthy is going to run a clear out and then deep corner. Watson is going to run an over route over the middle. Kelce is going to run kind of a corner pattern from here, and Gray is going to come in to the flat. They're going to fake a run action to Kareem Hunt, and they're going to leave this end unblocked as the end has to navigate through all these routes coming over. And very creative formation. So here's the play action. You can see the end is unblocked here. And as they come through, they get Kelce open on his kind of corner pattern action from the backfield. And he makes this catch for a 15-yard gain, getting deep into the red zone to a goal-to-go situation. I think he actually ended up being just outside the 10, so it wasn't a goal-to-go situation. But again, this deep into the game, Andy Reid has this kind of creative formation to pull out, where you have getting Kelce open by running him from the backfield in a corner pattern kind of position, right through the zone, finds a gap there, and gets a big first down. See it here. Guys, so look at all that this end has to contend with, why they can leave him unblocked. He's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. His two tight ends run by him, and Kelce gets open for a big first down. The Chiefs would punch it in a few plays later for a touchdown and win the game in overtime 30-24. Well, thank you all so much for watching along in the film review. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll keep going for the rest of the year. I still haven't done the Steelers film review. I'll be doing that later this week from last week's Monday night game, the Steelers-Giants game. So look for that toward the end of this week before the Week 10 games. Hope you all are also following along at STCF715 on social media. That's on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. And we also have the audio podcast, the video versions here on YouTube, but the audio versions available wherever you download podcasts. Thanks so much for all your support. Until next time.